Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my Market Structure Break live stream. A new month has started, a new quarter has started, and this is why obviously I have picked the following headline that you can see here, hopefully in front of you. A new quarter, euphoria to be crushed, or is the uptrend going to continue? Let's jump right into the charts. Let's really go through the SPX chart from scratch, and for us that basically means let's look at it top down, starting off with the monthly chart. And the monthly chart really indeed is what is very, very interesting and shouldn't be underestimated. As always, you want to identify crucial levels and the level to be beaten if you want to be able to say a new uptrend has started. Certainly is the level of around $4,133. And this makes tonight, and this makes this beginning second quarter really, really interesting from my point of view. Why? Because if you look at the closing price of the candle of March 23, we are looking at a closing price of $4,137. In other words, the monthly downtrend on a closing basis can be considered broken on the SPX. That is massive. A very, very bullish development from my point of view. Does that mean you have to long immediately? No, because otherwise we would be done and we could close out the charts right now. But nonetheless, it is something to be noted, something to be paying attention to and asking yourself, don't you see it? If you don't, then I think you might be in for some surprises. Continuing with our analysis, we can use the object tree here on TradingView to the right. This is the symbol, and then start a folder. Monthly, I always call it levels. What are other monthly levels that we might be interested in? Well, certainly I would say we want to mark out our monthly swing point here. So the latest higher low we have, and potentially also the level of around 3,969. And obviously the lowest point, 3,594. All of that goes into our folder monthly levels. What's the second step? Well, you have to ask yourself, where does liquidity rest? Where do people put their stops? Above the wicks. So monthly liquidity certainly will be found above around 4,208. And if we can push higher, again, I would say this swing point should be very interesting for us. The level of around 4,327. To the downside, well, it's not like these are equal lows, but at some point I'm sure some of these lows will be taken out. So let's simply mark out the highest wick point we have here to be able to be alerted once price, or should price, hit the level of $3,839. Now, from my point of view, you really have marked out all the monthly levels that you should be interested in. Another thing I then always like to do, and I highly recommend you do, is identify my so-called target boxes. As we are looking at a bullish chart, you should mainly focus on bullish target boxes. In other words, see or look at the 618 to 786 retracement fib based, and this then gives you a monthly target box starting at around $3,801. In other words, should we make it down there, you should be bullish and should really look for a longer term long setup. Also, where is our next bigger resistance target box? If we take that swing point, project it all the way down, then you can see that we have already wicked into it, then rejected it, and are now apparently going for a second try. We will enter the bearish target box on the monthly starting at around $4,175, and it goes all the way up to around 4,333. Coincidence? Question mark. What do you also find there? Liquidity, monthly liquidity. There are no fair value gaps that we can identify on the monthly, at least none that would be of bigger interest for us at the moment. However, where did we bounce from? From a monthly fair value gap. Yeah. All of this I would put into a folder that I normally call monthly boxes. So let's then obviously move down to the weekly chart and see what we can identify there. We'll go through the same process. Looking at the weekly chart, we see that the bigger term weekly downtrend remains, interestingly enough, unbroken. We have broken the downtrend on a monthly chart, which obviously, looking at it, first view seems to be more important. However, on the weekly, the bigger term downtrend is still intact. So let's mark that out or write it down here on the chart for us not to forget. Nonetheless, obviously we are in a clear weekly uptrend, higher low again, and the question now is, can we next week push up and close the week on a higher high? We don't know. About to be seen. Let's mark out 3,897. Where do we find weekly liquidity? Obviously here the same level, so we don't really need to mark it out. Same level here as well. More weekly liquidity resting underneath 3,786. All of these go into our box weekly levels. Right, now same story. Where are our target boxes? Our weekly target box lines up perfectly with our monthly target box, or nearly perfectly. Let's mark it out. However, don't forget we have a swing point here, we have another swing point here, so we don't necessarily have to come that far down for our uptrend to continue. So what you really also want to have on your chart is this weekly target box at around $3,889 as a potential pullback zone. What do I mean? Well, price could push up a bit further, then come back here and then continue its journey up. Certainly a possibility. What about resistance boxes? You can see that we are within a massive resistance box, actually poking our head through the 786 level at the moment. So not of that much importance for me anymore until we really reject. Nonetheless, if we project our resistance box from this swing point here, then we can see where do we end up again, matching perfectly well with the monthly resistance box as well. Where does that then leave us? What are the levels we want to have in mind with respect to the weekly chart? We have a weekly bullish target box starting at around $3,990 that we definitely want to have at the back of our mind. And again, the resistance box starting at around 4,180. As main levels, and here we already have confluence obviously with respect to what we've identified on the monthly. What we also want to mark obviously are fair value gaps, because they give further confluence. Price tends to be drawn to these fair value gaps. More weekly fair value gaps further down, and this now really gives us confluence, don't you think? If price decides to come back down, certainly the level starting at around 4,010 down to the end of our target box at around $3,950 should be of big interest. If you've marked out all of these levels, I would say basically you already have everything you need to be able to identify regular and potentially very lucrative trades. I just spotted another fair value gap up here, weekly fair value gap. Don't forget about that, starting at around 4,222. Then to really frame our charts, let's finally go down to the daily, because here we really can get some context and frame whatever we've learned so far. And again, what do we see on the daily? We are in a clear uptrend. So really your main focus definitely should be on where can I long? Where are areas of interest that might draw price to them? Looking at levels, the first liquidity level I can identify sits at around 3,936. Daily liquidity, and what do you know? What do you remember? We talked about liquidity resting around there when we were looking at the monthly chart as well. Where are target boxes? The closest target box from a swing point perspective lines up very nicely. Well, if you look at, if you want to be very aggressive, you could maybe project your fips from here, but so then you would have a daily target box starting at around $4,040. And obviously there are many fair value gaps that were created throughout the week with such a strong move up. However, as they are quite close price-wise to where we actually are, that's of interest. We have a gap here, wasn't fully close, but nearly close. So price might decide to come back there one more time, especially as it is lining up nicely with our weekly target box, and we have another fair value gap here. So basically a lot of imbalances in all of that area, which really leads me to believe that even if we push up a bit further, and there's nothing to say that we can't at the beginning of the week, we will eventually probably come back at least to the lower 4,000s before maybe going for a further push up, but that's too far ahead to just be dreaming and talking about it like that. Finally, obviously execution should happen on the lower time frames, mainly for me, at least on the 4-hour time frame. It's basically the last one that I use for marking out these levels. And if we quickly have a look at the 4-hour time frame, we see it is quite extended, and our projection here would at least again force us down to roughly $4,040, lining up nicely with the daily target box that we were already mentioning, or here 4,095, but that really would then be for a potential day trade. Yeah. What I would really expect is for price maybe to push up a bit further, take out these highs potentially, and then once you can create, at least on the 4-hour time frame, some kind of market structure break, you want to look for potential short setups to hedge yourself if you are currently long. And then once you are down in this area of the lower $4,000, then you really want to start to pay attention and see whether you can identify a setup to take price up again, to go long. Basically, what can we then say, summing up what we've learned here? It is clear from my point of view that if you look at the monthly, let me quickly get rid of our boxes here. If you look at the monthly, we are back in a bull environment. For me, this is absolutely massive, and let me quickly show you why I believe it is absolutely massive. Because going back in the chart, each time that that happens, that we could establish a new monthly uptrend, the lows were in. And this is exactly what I also believe. We might come down to areas of around $3,800. I wouldn't rule that out at all, especially as we are approaching high time frame resistance. Nonetheless, the lows are in. That's what I would say. So my take is one more push up and then a nasty pullback, but this nasty pullback will give you a potentially amazing buy opportunity for the longer term. Let me quickly show you what I mean. Ruling out maybe for the moment here the Corona crash, because that really was a black swan event. Wherever you go in the charts, whenever you were looking at a downtrend on the monthly chart, clear downtrend here. Once this downtrend is broken, if you're aggressive, you say the downtrend is broken here, and what happens, exactly what we just talked about. You get a nasty pullback, and this nasty pullback offers then an incredible buying opportunity. But even inside of a trend, you have this monthly downtrend. Once this monthly downtrend is broken, you're looking at several months of upside. It is retested, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. Yeah, same here. Downtrend. Once it is broken, fire is on again. Downtrend. Once it is broken, you are looking at an up market. Nasty pullbacks included. Yeah. What about 2008, 2009, so many people talking about it. Well, you broke the monthly downtrend here. You consolidate 1 month, you take out these lows, fill in this candle, and then it is up only. Yeah. Same here. It's the same story over and over again. Yeah. This is why, for me, what we've just witnessed the beginning of April is massive. Yeah. Downtrend broken with this candle in May 2016, taking out these lows, consolidating a little bit, and up you go. Don't underestimate that sign. That's why I said, pay attention, open your eyes. I would say there are good weeks ahead of us. If you can identify a short setup at around these highs of 4,220, 4,200, 330, roughly, maybe up to here, take it, because I think we will see lower prices again. But these lower prices, maybe at around 3,950, who knows, maybe even a bit further down, these prices, I believe, will offer a massive opportunity for the longer term. Do you need more confluence? Well, then look at the DXY. A few weeks ago, I already mentioned it as well. The DXY can give you so much confluence and can make your trading decisions a lot easier. Let's throw on our levels for the DXY. What are we looking at? The dollar index on the daily chart. It is really correlated to the SPX. We were running into resistance here. We were talking about it at the latest on the 13th, 14th of March. You would have wanted to look for a potential pullback, a potential long setup forming in the SPX. Why? Because we had established a clear downtrend, daily chart trend broken on the DXY. Keep the 13th of March, 14th of March in mind. It is exactly when we were building out this swing point, forming our current lower high. Now, however, and this is why I also wanted to bring up the DXY. Now, however, we are sitting right smack within a box of support on the DXY. We have filled in a weekly fair value gap. We have wicked into a important weekly level, and we seem to be consolidating here. In other words, who's to say that we can't at least push back up into these areas of resistance before further downside on the DXY? And if we do that, this would correlate so well with what we were just describing. One more push up, take out these highs, get everyone really, really bullish, fill in this weekly fair value gap that has been sitting here since August 2022. I told you they tend to fill. This one did fill after years, guys. And then you pull back down for the real long trade that you're looking for, either at around 4,000 or at around $3,800. The most crucial chart at the moment is the SPX. Why? Because I believe most people don't pay attention to the monthly chart, and personally for me, the monthly chart has done something incredible on Friday. It has broken the downtrend on the SPX. So with that, we have a monthly uptrend on the SPX, we have a monthly uptrend on the NQ, we have a monthly uptrend on BTC. People are screaming recession, people are talking about fundamentals and the news. However, the chart tells us a different story. I believe there is going to be a nasty pullback. People are going to say, we told you so, we told you so. And if you then pay attention, you're going to get a massive opportunity to take price higher, longer term. With that being said, I hope you could learn something. I hope you could take something away from this stream tonight. Hope to talk to you soon again. Hope to be able to really establish something here, guys. If you like my work, then support me with comments, support me with likes, and subscribe, obviously. Take care, bye-bye, and good night.